Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie and today we are talking about your home office. When you are self-employed, it's actually really easy to get into the habit of working from your kitchen table, which they actually have a term for that. It's kitchen table business. And working from your sofa, and even I consider this the worst, like, cardinal sin of people who work from home, working in bed. There needs to be a separation between your home life and your work life, because one thing you'll find about working from home is it is all consuming. It is so easy to get in the habit of literally having work on your mind from the time you wake up till the time you go to sleep. Pretty soon you'll notice that's all you talk to your spouse about is business. And it's really easy to get into that habit. And so in order to create that divide that you need so that your business doesn't become all consuming and you don't end up basically wondering what happened to your life when you used to have fun and suddenly all you're talking about is work, you need to create a divide. And it has to actually be a physical divide. So something that everybody that works from home should have is a designated office. I know what you're thinking. So many of us don't have huge houses. We don't have a place that we can have a designated office. And that's where guest rooms come in. I think guest rooms are a total waste of space. My guest room here in my apartment, I have a 2-bedroom apartment. My guest room acts as my office. I have my desk in here, my computers, everything that I need to run my business is in this guest room. If I happen to have guests, they will stay in here. But I don't have guests that often, and when I do, they don't come for months on end. They come for a few days and then they leave again. So what is the point in having a room that just is there for guests when none of us really have guests that often? And so my first suggestion to you guys would be to turn your guest room into your office. My second suggestion is those of you that don't have a guest room and you still feel like you don't have that space, you can either take a space in your bedroom to turn it into your office or your living room. We all tend to have like that one area in our house that doesn't get used that much, whether it's like a little corner or a closet, just some place that you can have, that you can fit an actual desk for you to work at, and you're able to place things on the wall and have a little bit of storage. It doesn't have to be a beautiful office with all white furniture or all executive looking furniture. It literally can be something you bought from Walmart, something you got from a yard sale, just something that when you're sitting at that desk, it's business time. One of the reasons why this is so important is it's really easy when you're on your laptop laying in bed, you've got the TV playing in the background, and I'm guilty of this myself. Suddenly you're scrolling Facebook, oh yeah, I forgot I needed to get more bamboo paper towels off Amazon, and you're like an hour into researching different cleaning products on Amazon. Like, it's so easy to get distracted. But when you're sitting at your desk, you subconsciously know, it's like ingrained in us that when we're sitting at a desk, that is actual productive time that we're supposed to be using. So that's why I think the very first thing, if you want to have a home-based business, is to make sure that you have that space so that you can turn into CEO. Especially, I have to say this, especially for stay-at-home moms. It's extremely difficult for moms to get out of mom mode. You have that on all the time. And for some reason, dads, it's a lot easier for them to get out of dad modes. I was actually just talking to my friend about this, who works from home, and she has a toddler, and we were saying, like, her son could literally be laying there bleeding, and her husband is like so focused on what he's seeing that he's not really paying much attention, whereas for her, it's hard for her to shut down and go into work mode when her toddler is anywhere near her. So I have to say, having that designated space for moms, especially when you're working from home, you're sitting at your desk, you're in work mode, and you have to learn to shut the mom mode off. Obviously, if your child is bleeding or something, you know, you can't shut the mom mode off. But that also leads me to, within your office when you're working, you have to have some other form of childcare going on. Whether it's like a neighbor that comes over and sits with your kids, or your kids are playing with their dad, you know, something like that. Just because that really does become extremely distracting for moms, having to constantly interfere or intervene in arguments over toys and stuff like that. So with your office, you want to have a space to where preferably you can shut the door. If you can't shut the door, to where you can at least have that space and nobody's in that space while you're in there. So if it's in your living room, probably not the best idea to have the TV on and your kids and husband or friends over, which is why you want to have office hours. I am going to be doing a whole video about that next week, about setting office hours. But when you're at your desk, you want to be able to just be productive, just be working. So when you're picking out a desk for your office space, you want to make sure that it's big enough to fit your computer, but also big enough to have workspace on it. Typically, when you buy a computer desk, they're quite slim. They're not big enough to actually do anything other than like surf the web. If you're working from home, you're more than likely going to have notebooks, and you're going to have pens everywhere and files relating to your business, regardless of what the business is, whether you're an influencer who has invoices that you're printing out and laying around and marking as paid, or you're doing an at-home eBay store. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You do need that extra office or workspace. And so with that, you want to make sure that you're picking out a desk that you can have your computer on, but also be able to have notebooks and stuff out at the same time. In your office, you're also going to want to have storage cabinets or containers that are preferably labeled, so that you can have everything that you need for the running of your business and office in one space. You don't want to have your computer in one room and you're running down the stairs into the garage looking for ink for your printer. You want to have everything nicely organized, so that then as you're putting this all together and you're sitting at your desk and you're like, oh no, my ink is out, you literally have it an arm's reach away, and you can replace the ink in your printer, or you've got tape or scissors. Whatever it is that you need for running your business is all in one spot. It's all labeled, easily accessible, and you're not like climbing over things to get to it, if you know what I mean. Within your office, it would be preferable as well if you had an overflow workspace. So what that means is you're sitting at your desk and you've got your files out and you've got your notebook out, and you're running out of space on your desk for a project that you're working on. An overflow workspace is typically just like a tabletop, the top of a dresser, or even the top of a bed that you can be laying things in order to keep working on them, but not be working on them in that exact moment. Typically, if you put something away, out of sight, out of mind comes into play. So say you're doing your taxes and suddenly you're like, oh no, I've got to finish up this graphic design that I'm doing for somebody. If you put your taxes away, you put it all in a drawer, you're going to forget about it, and then a week before tax day, you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to get my taxes done. So what I would do in that case, in that instance, is I would put it on my overflow workspace, so that then as soon as I'm done finishing up that graphic design, I can grab my taxes and get back to that. Another thing that really comes in handy, especially if the industry that you're in is a very creative one, is having cork boards, because you can use them as mood boards for projects. You can also use them as like little reminders. If you have fabric samples and you want to go through them, or you have two samples that you're choosing from, you can pin them while you're kind of pondering which one is better. Having cork boards really comes in handy because it takes the stuff off your desk and puts it onto the wall. You can get some really, really pretty cork boards nowadays too. They're not that brown ugly. You can have like patterned cork boards. I got a black and white printed pattern with a black frame around it off of Amazon. There's all kinds of different cork boards you can do and be able to keep your workflow nice and organized, but at the same time keeping kind of your reminders and stuff there. Also, you can do that with your calendar. I have seen people who use corkboard calendars because they have repeat things during the week and during the month. And so rather than rewriting it on a whiteboard one every single month, they're actually able to just move their pins and it ends up looking really nice and a little less work, and it still gets the job done. It's still effective. Within your office, it is also preferable that you have a bit of space to move around. So if you're using a guest room or your living room or something like that, sometimes it helps to get up from your desk and be able to, like, you're reading something and be able to pace. I don't know why, but when I'm on the phone or when I'm like really deep in thought, getting up and moving for some reason helps me come to a decision, helps me focus a bit more on the thought that I'm thinking about. I have no idea why that is, but I have noticed it, and it's also a great way to get those extra steps in during the day. But just having a little bit of space so that you can get up, move about, kind of get the kinks out, and just, you know, keep your like flow going, but without being 100% tied to your desk, because that is something that people who start home-based businesses, they don't want to be tied to a desk. They've been tied to a desk so far for their whole career, and they want to be able to have a bit more freedom of movement and all of that, and that's totally understandable, and I get that way too. It is just nice to have that desk as like your home base within your home-based business. So linked down below is going to be a downloadable printable, and in that you can sketch out your office. Take a minute to really think about where you want to put your office, what type of furniture you want to have in there. This is actually something that could be really fun and really creative without getting really expensive, because there's amazing places to buy furniture such as Walmart, Target, IKEA, without it getting crazy expensive. And so really take some time, kind of sketch out the office of your dreams, because I've always felt like if you don't have a workspace that you're happy to be working in, that your business isn't going to be successful. And so often when I hear some of these business coaches talking online, they always say, oh, don't worry about your office, worry about your business. I'm actually the opposite. I really honestly feel like if you're not happy with the space that you're working in, you're not going to want to be in there working, which means you're not working on your business. And so take some time to really plan out how you want your office to look, some things that you can change. If you have like a kitchen table that you really feel like, oh, you know, I really like using this as my desk and I don't really like it as a table anymore, move that and use that in your office instead. I actually purchased a table that I stained myself from a hardware store because I didn't want an office desk with like drawers in it. I wanted the actual table style, just because I thought it suited my style a little bit better. It offered me a bigger workflow space. It's just a 4-seater table, but I feel like it worked out better for me. So kind of get creative. In that printable download, you can download the place that you can sketch your office, and then also my little tips here so that you have those by you as you're drawing out your dream office. Also, another thing you can do whilst drawing out your dream office is have your laptop open or be near your computer, so as you're thinking about things that you like, you can go to places like Wayfair, Target, IKEA, and be kind of getting a feel for the stuff out there. And also another thing that you should keep in mind before I go is write down the measurements of your office so that you know exactly the sizes that you want, because when you're searching online, you can actually filter it down by size. And so if you know that you need a 48-inch desk, you can actually narrow it down to that in the search results and only see desks that are 48 inches. So those are my tips for setting up your home office and why you need a home office. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you have any questions regarding home office, please leave them down below. And if you guys have any requests within this series of home business management, also leave those down below, because I really have like so many video ideas, but I want to make sure that I'm making videos that you guys are finding useful, because that's the whole point of this. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.